My name is Alan Kemper. I'm the president of Lead Workforce Consulting. When I was 16, I had a 1987 4Runner. I love that truck. I went on all sorts of adventures with my buddies. We'd go backpacking in the North Georgia mountains. We would just travel everywhere. One summer I decided to take a trip. A couple hours into the trip, I started noticing that one of my gauges was doing funny. My engine temperature gauge was reading a little bit high. I pulled over on the side of the road and looked at it, and then made the very 16-year-old decision of ignoring the gauge and continuing to drive. It's probably not a surprise to you that several miles down the road, I was on the side of the road and I had done some pretty serious damage to my car. Turns out something as small as a water pump going out can really ruin your day. The lesson I learned was pay attention to the gauges. You know, in our businesses, one of the things that we do is we do a pretty good job of paying attention to the two primary gauges on our dashboard. You know, we've got these two big gauges that are right in front of us, the speedometer and our tachometer. That's kind of like our profit and our revenue in our businesses. But there's all these secondary gauges that live on the periphery, and those gauges are important too. We need to pay attention to these gauges, but what I figured out by working with a lot of entrepreneurs is we're not even measuring these things. We don't pay attention to the human capital side of our businesses, right? Just like the oil pressure gauge, the temperature gauge, and the fuel gauge are important gauges to look at from time to time. As you're driving, we need to pay attention to our leadership gauges, our employee engagement gauges, our culture gauges. These are the secondary gauges of our business that need to be paid attention to. If we ignore these gauges, we run the risk of letting a very small problem turn into a very big problem. We get to help our clients monitor and measure the human capital aspects of their business. We get to help them see if there's a warning light coming on so that they can be proactive rather than reactive when it comes to their human capital issues. At the end of the day, we don't want our businesses or our cars broken down on the side of the road.